Disclaimer, do not harass anyone featured in this video. Thank you.
Oops, I kind of started another drama, and I really didn't mean to this time. I wanted to start a conversation, and as much as I succeeded in that, I seem to have caused problems too, and I want to do my best to address it. If you haven't already seen, I published a video about 3 weeks ago called Don't Contribute to Open Source. The goal of this video wasn't specifically to say no one should ever contribute to open source. It was to change the narrative that I've been seeing for a while now, since all the way back in 2014. It seemed like we were treating open source contributions as a necessary stepping stone to getting a job, but that's not how it works at all. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts on that, definitely watch the video. I'm really, really proud of it, but I want to just keep rehashing those points. I want to talk about the results, what happened, the impact, and the things that I've only recently learned have been going on since. Turns out this video started a huge conversation and a moment of reflection in a community that I honestly hadn't been too tuned into before. That is, of course, the Indian developer community. When I made that video before, I was not thinking about what regions people were in when they were making those contributions. It was just not on my mind at all. It was entirely about the quality of the contributions, not the people themselves. And I never wanted it to be about the contributors either, because I felt as though they had been misled by educators, not that they were in some way malicious or harmful. Those creators and those educators need to change the way they express these things. But that was the focus. And I feel like that point was missed a bit. And the video is actually used to go after some of these younger, newer Indian developers. The fact that people are being racist towards Indians about this is genuinely upsetting to me. Some of the best developers I know are younger devs from India who just recently learned how to code. The fact that anyone would write somebody off because of where they're from is genuinely horrifying to me. And if you're that type of person, stop watching my videos. I don't want you here. Get out. Just go. I don't want you here. This blew up way out of proportion. And I just want to try my best to pull us back and understand what we can learn from this moment. Some of the responses to my video were actually really, really good. The two I want to call out are this one from Hitesh, which was actually done in Hindi, so I had to have a few community members translate for me because I obviously don't speak Hindi, as well as this video from Harkarat. All these videos are great. Highly recommend watching them. I'll link both in the description. The main reason I want to pull these up is they're genuinely reflective. They're thinking not just in terms of how do my videos impact my viewers, but how does this moment impact the perception of Indian developers as a whole? And I feel pretty bad because the goal of my video was never, ever, ever to say Indian devs are bad. I don't even think I said the word Indian in my video. And thankfully, these educators are taking this opportunity to also draw a line in the sand and say, stop doing this. The results actually awesome. I really like the way that Hakarat put it in here, where your contributions should be meaningful to things that you're actually familiar with and using. And he gives a bunch of suggestions on how to do a better job of using open source to grow. One of the examples he gives is shadowing a project. Instead of really contributing, you should fork a project, look at the issues, try fixing them yourself, then wait for one of the core maintainers to fix it, and then compare and contrast how their solution and your solution worked, and try to learn from this. I think that's an awesome suggestion, a great example of how to take advantage of the awesome resources that exist in open source. Sadly, not everyone in this community has been as quick to jump on the opportunity as these developers have. And there's one particular group that's been rough. Yesterday, I was tagged in this tweet, which was a call out of Apna College, because they did something I never would have imagined. They, in their video, showcased how to contribute to a project by opening it up on GitHub, editing the README inline, and then filing a pull request with some nonsense change. While I don't necessarily think by itself that this is a huge deal, the fact that this video has been seen by hundreds of thousands of developers and has since resulted in nearly endless spam on the project, that's terrifying to me. Don't harass anybody. I really don't want anyone being harassed. But Apna, this video being up right now in its current state is irresponsible. You should feel bad and you should take it down. It's bad. It's actively harmful. There is useful parts of this video. When I quickly skimmed it, it seems like there's useful bits about contributing to open source for the first time, and it seems more like a Git course, but that's fine. This bit at the end needs to be removed. It is causing active harm to open source maintainers. You don't care because you're getting your 1.4 million views, but you should. And you need to address this. It can't just sit here and continue doing damage like this. You have a pinned comment, sure, that's note, don't create test PRs or issues on official repositories. Because I'm sure someone's going to scroll and see that comment before they follow along with your exact instructions and do this. As someone who's also made mistakes in pinned comments, it's not enough. Usually I need to take an extra step and go and edit the video down, or sometimes take it down. In the future, just use an example repo. It's not that hard. I make 3 example repos a stream. Just go spin one up and use that instead. Come on. Anyways, here are literally hundreds of pull requests that have been filed on this project that are all just nonsense README changes that were done because somebody watched that tutorial that happened to have Express open as the example, and they just put their name or something in it. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? I will say, because it's important, that in this video, soon after she does this example, she specifies to not file bullshit like nonsense pull requests. But that came after demonstrating exactly how to do it. Like, there are so many little things that could have been done to make this okay. Like starting with, by the way, don't do this, I'm just doing an example. Or having an example GitHub repo that's theirs and not some random maintainers, but that's not what they did. Instead, they made this the problem for the Express.js maintainers to deal with. And this is the point I was trying to bring up with my old open source contributions video, is that when you treat open source as one of the necessary accolades to getting a job, you end up with worse education materials pretending you just have to like go spam things. And you end up with a bunch of less aware developers that are just early in their careers doing really dumb stuff. And it sucks. It's obnoxious. And while I'm thankful for creators like the ones I mentioned earlier to take this opportunity to both reflect and steer their audience in the right direction, I'm scared that people like this will continue being rewarded for promising a future of success as a developer. And that's my concern. I can't say too much about Apna because I've only read as much as I have, which is admittedly not a lot, but it does feel like they're selling the promise of being a successful dev, not actually being one. And that just sucks. And I wish this wasn't the case as often as it is. Worse than that, it's impossible to follow along with don't do this when the don't do this comes after the steps to do it in the video, if you're following along. Yeah. Ugh. Oh, there's one from 1 hour ago. Yeah, like it's still happening. It's still happening. This video needs to be deleted. At the very least, this section of this video needs to be trimmed out. They're not doing that because this video has a lot of views. And when you do that, it temporarily unlists the video, or if the video has high enough views, it takes it down. This is just hurting people. It's not just hurting the open source maintainers. Now it's hurting the Indian developer community. And that was the impact I hadn't thought of, is that when something like this happens and you end up with literally hundreds of useless PRs being filed by Indian developers, you end up with a bias there. And that's terrifying. And that's why people like Hitesh and Hakarat jumped at the opportunity when I made my video, because they know that this is reflecting on their community in a way I hadn't even thought of before. Both of their videos started with the impact of Indian developers and how they are seen. And that's an unintended side effect of what I did, but it's also an unintended consequence of the damage as it's being done. I think we have a great opportunity here to steer new developers in the right direction. Open source is an opportunity to learn, not an opportunity to spam and eventually, hopefully get a job. And I am incredibly thankful that so many people and so many educators are jumping at this opportunity. I think that's all I have to say about this one. Let me know what you guys think, because this has been chaos. Anyways, good seeing you guys as always. Peace, nerds.